Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.
Blessings, blessings. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Primetime Home Buyers. And we're doing a Secure Your Energy session today. As I promised, we're spicing things up a little bit. We're doing a market watch, okay? So you know how we do. We highlight scams, okay? I want to highlight scams for you guys. We're going to get into money scams, banking scams, and home scams, okay? We want to refresh your memory so you won't fall for these type of scams, as well as we're going to get into a very sensitive topic today. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same way across the United States and possibly across the world, most likely. But America, middle class financial crisis is here and it's serious. And we're going to get into that. Okay. So I hope you guys are having a great day. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lashley. I'm your tax lien expert. And I do want to start the broadcast off by saying, hold on one second. Had to clear my throat. By saying that we actually have a live question and answer webinar on Sunday. We do it once a month for our tax lien investment beginners and experts, people who have questions. You can ask me anything. So I will share that link at the bottom, and you will see another video will come up this week, possibly Wednesday or Thursday, giving you guys some more details on how to sign up. Okay. So let's get this broadcast started. The first thing that I found interesting, but not interesting, and a little bit appalling. And as I told you guys, a lot of things that I share with you guys is because I went through it. So I have noticed when I go to Walmart, I don't know if it's you guys, but when I go to Walmart, when I get to the register, the price seems to change. Okay. So I thought it was just me. I thought I was tripping, but I'm a very, very detail oriented person, and I'm very funny with, when I shop, because I'm not a shopper that just wastes money. Okay. So when I get to the register, I will think I'm about to spend $90 and it's about 130. So I'll look at the taxes and I'm like, something is just not right. Now, this young lady and a few other TikTokers have noticed that allegedly Marshalls have been scamming their shoppers. Okay. And this is when I said I had a aha moment and I knew it. I knew something wasn't right. So why are they scamming? Shopper says Marshall is trying to trick customers by falsely advertising their phone cases. Okay. So I noticed in the store, as I tell you, it'll be priced one way, but when you get to the register is another way. So let's see what Marshall's got going on. A Marshall customer posted a viral video saying that their store is falsely advertising its phone case by putting the wrong size case into incorrectly labeled package. That's even worse. Okay. All right. So Miss Tennell have reached over 6,500 people and 500 likes in her video. Basically, she talks about, let's get in. You know how they have cheap phone cases? She added like a $10 range. She says made her way to the register to check out after finding a case for an iPhone 4 Pro Max. However, she says that as she was about to check out, the cashier asked her, "Did you check this to see if it fits your phone?" Tanel says she doesn't normally open packages while in the store, so she responded no. She said to the cashier, told her to go ahead and see if it fits, which made her try the case out and resize it. It's an iPhone 14 Pro Max on the box. Tanil said, adding that she opened and set it on her phone to show the cashier that her phone is, in fact, a i14 Pro Max. All right. So Tanil says that the cashier then advised her to try another case to see if it fits one that had gotten that was default. However, the TikToker says she found another case marked as compatible with the iPhone 14 Pro Max that still did not fit. Why are they saying that this fits iPhone 14 Pro? Let's watch this. Now, this may not seem significant, but it is significant to people and anybody who's going in and spending their last on something that they need to make their phone life extend. The phone is everybody's life. So we're just going to listen to a particular story, and then I'm going to get into details why this is more important than just this.
I have the iPhone 14 Pro Max.
Okay, let's see. Can we start it again?
So I bring it to the register, and the cashier is like, "Did you check this to see if it fits your phone?" And I'm like, "I don't know about y'all, but I don't be opening shit in the store." So I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, well, go ahead, like, see if it fits." So I was like, "Oh, okay, shout out you." So I open it and see if it fits, and lo and behold, it does not fit. And it says iPhone 14 Pro Max on the box, and I have an iPhone 14 Pro Max. So I open my settings, and I'm like, "Here, like, look, like I have an iPhone 14 Pro Max." And she's like, "That's so weird. Like, go get another one, and we'll see if it's just like a bad like phone case like that they made." So we go get another one, does not fit. So I'm like, "Why are y'all saying this fits iPhone 14 Pro Max if it don't fit that Pro Max?" So then I go get a 15, and it says fits iPhone 15, but on the side of the case it says fits iPhone 13 Pro Max. So we're like, why are they not labeling their shit correctly? So lo and behold, like, we're just going through all these cases, and then I finally buy one and find one, and I got this one, and it says it fits iPhone 12 and 13 Pro Max. I got a fucking iPhone 14 Pro Max, so why is my 14 fitting a 12 and a 13 when I literally Googled it and it said that the 14 case won't fit the 13 12?
All right. So the reason why I brought this up, not to talk about particular iPhones, but to actually bring up the fact that manufacturers are doing slippery, slotty things to trick the customer. We had a problem with cutting corners, okay? Shortening products such as cereal. The cereal boxes got small, cost the same but smaller. A lot of other things that has been marked up via inflation. Now, if you have a product that says it's for one thing, and then you have in small writing that it can fit another type of phone, and you don't check that, then you, the customer, may be the one that may not be able to return it, based on the return policies. But I look at that as another way of these big companies actually tricking us smallly, little by little. If you pay a penny a day, it adds up to 365 cents in a year. Does that make sense? So I'm bringing this up to you guys because this made me think about how when I go into Walmart and things suddenly change when I get to the register. Now, it's not the actual size. Well, yeah, it's the size because the cereal box is not the same, but it's the prices. So I bring that up to say, there's more than a little guy that's doing things to us that we need to pay attention to. Okay. It's not just us doing little scams. There's things that we need to start to pay attention to because these big companies are cutting corners. They're not only cutting their staff, but they're cutting corners. Okay. Now I know that was a little drawn out because I'm not big on iPhones, and I know a lot of people maybe are, but I want you guys to pay attention to what's going on. It's the little things that counts. Okay. Now let's get into our next topic I wanted to share with you today. Maryland woman loses 17 million in SIM card swipe scam despite two-factor authentication. Let's see what this is about. Okay, I haven't heard of this before, anything dealing with a SIM card. This is new to me, so let's watch this together. They get a new scams every day, y'all. Every day. It's technology. It's AI. Okay.
A security question tonight that deals with your cell phone. How did a Maryland woman lose $17,000 even though she had two-factor authentication on all of her accounts?
Well, security experts tell I-Team investigator Scott Taylor that it's a lot simpler than you could ever imagine.
We all know criminals have multiple ways to steal your identity, but 7 News is sending out a warning. SIM card swapping almost cost Sharon Hussey of Bethesda, Maryland, $17,000.
It was absolutely stunning. It was just like my heart fell to the floor.
It all started when Hussey got this email thanking her for a purchase of a new phone at Verizon. Minutes later, her contact information at Bank of America changed. The problem? She didn't do either transaction and had 2-factor authentication on her accounts.
The bottom just kind of dropped out.
She called Bank of America, but her cell phone was no longer active. An online attempt required a verification code her phone couldn't receive. Within minutes, her 17 grand was missing.
Initially, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. I thought I had handled it on the first day by calling the bank, calling Verizon, figuring things out.
Hussey tells 7 News Verizon said someone in California walked into one of its stores and purchased a new phone along with a new SIM card and used Hussey's current phone number to activate the new phone. When the new phone was turned on, Hussey's phone went dead. Hussey used a landline to contact Bank of America, but it was too late. 17 grand vanished.
And I have 2-factor authentication, which ended up kind of biting me in the face when it all came down to it. That was the thing that completely hijacked everything. They had complete control of my phone, and there was nothing I could do about it.
SIM card swapping has been around for the past 4 years.
Wow.
But security experts tell 7 News this type of scam has recently skyrocketed.
In 2021, roughly 6 times as many dollars were stolen through this as the years before.
Online security expert Alex Quilisi with UMail says the scam is simple.
The bad guys convince the telephone company that they have the SIM for your phone number. And the minute the phone company does the swap, they're in control of your number.
Scammers then use 2-factor authentication through your cell phone to access your accounts.
If you've been doing 2-factor authentication everywhere to your mobile phone number, if someone else gets that mobile phone number, they can authenticate as if they're you.
Over the next 3 months, Bank of America denied Hussey's claim, saying it can't be honored. Eventually, the bank reversed its initial decision and refunded the 17 grand. Bank of America tells 7 News, we take identity theft very seriously. We are always working to improve the experience, knowing that resolving identity theft issues is a complicated process. Verizon said in an email, when potential fraud is brought to its attention, it works quickly to resolve the matter. And due to customer privacy laws, it can't share specifics in its investigation. Here are several ways you can better protect yourself from SIM card swapping.
So the number one thing is to make sure you get a PIN or a number porting PIN with your carrier. That requires a special code that hopefully only you have that needs to be given to the carrier before they can do the SIM swap.
Wow, scary stuff. Some more tips so you can avoid this scam. Try to use Authenticator apps or those face scans that we're all now using instead of a text code. Keep your personal information hidden and don't post online how much money you have, property, or assets.
Definitely do not do the last things that he talked about. Definitely do not post how much money you have. Everywhere you're going online, those things definitely open you up to scams. Now, this was a little complicated to me. Now, I at first I was thinking like, hey, this had to be stemmed from Verizon. Maybe one of the workers there would allow someone to activate a phone with the SIM card not present. Okay, usually when you activate a phone, you have to have, your passcode and things like that. And if you're in person, you're like, hey, I broke my phone, this, that, and the third. They see the SIM card and it's switched out. But since technology have gotten so much better, what they're doing is switching out the SIM card by via barcode or number, and it's done online, so you don't physically have to do it. It's like a blank SIM card basically, and they're switching the information over. But my thing is, how did these people get so far to get into her bank account and control her phone? This is why I'm thinking that this was an inside job. As you heard a little bit, they never blamed Verizon in this, but they did say Verizon is doing an investigation, because I do believe that this needs to be checked out. But we're going to get a little bit more information into like swiping SIM cards, because I never heard of that. This is like the first time I ever heard it. Let me see if I can find another video on this, because this is astonishing to me. You see, this is how AI is actually opening up more doors for us to lose money. No disrespect, AI, but this is the truth. So while these things are happening, we need to be aware, because I never heard of this in my life. Okay. SIM card swap scam news, swap fraud explained. Let's see what is this? Okay, I found another video. Let me see, can I get into this video and see, can we get a better understanding? Because it looks like, to me, Verizon slipped up and let these people open up a phone without the person actually identifying themselves. And they're saying, oh, we need more identification. Now, that is where it's a little alarming. He said, oh, do face recognition, right? Or have a passcode, which is cool. You already give your first, last name and some authentication. Okay. But then you have a code, a number. That's fine. But the face recognition and all of that, I don't know about that, guys. I know I'm a little skeptical of that. Go the extra step and do so. Have a question. Sometimes they ask you a question like, what's your first pet's name, and these type of things. Okay. And these are the type of information that you just don't share with people. Okay. You mix it up, but you keep it simple. That's what I try to do, because I'll be forgetting. Hold on. Let's see what this is about.
3 missed calls back to back, and then moments later, a message came in saying that your account has been debited. Well, this is exactly what has happened to a Delhi based lawyer. Now, the woman has become a victim of the SIM swap scam. At least that's what the police are calling it. Now, before we get into what happened to the woman, let's understand how this scam works and what you need to do to be safe. So, the modus operandi of the scam is quite simple. The scammer tries to get a duplicate of your issued SIM card so that they can get access to various OTPs and all the other things that are possible with an issued SIM card. Now, how do they do it? Well, they try to do it by obtaining personal data, such as by making fake calls to you by inquiring your address, perhaps try to get you into revealing your Aadhaar information so that they can use this particular information, and then by pretending to be you, they approach the mobile operator and then try to issue a duplicate SIM card. Now, once they do get hold of your duplicate SIM card, it's pretty much smooth sailing from that point onwards, because now they can get access to your OTPs, your banking information, and all the other information that you may receive on WhatsApp or some other social apps, because logging into these social apps or perhaps even your Gmail account is quite simple. Now, this is where the Delhi based lawyer's story comes in. She did receive 3 missed calls back to back, but she did not answer them. Later, she tried calling them from a secondary number, and then when the person on the other end answered, she was told that it was for a courier delivery, and the woman readily gave her address for that. But she never once told them any OTP. But this is where things get interesting. The police notes that the woman had an unusual browsing history and had websites which she does not remember visiting. Additionally, she received phishing links and other UPI registration texts as well. This does indicate that the woman may have ended up accidentally revealing too much information about herself, and that was used against her. So, in order to be safe, never ever reveal your personal information, be it your address or your Aadhaar number, until and unless it's from a very official source or someone you know or you are in contact with in person. So, that's how you stay safe from such scams. Another preventive measure that you can take is by using SIM locks. Here, you can set up a quick PIN on your SIM card, and therefore, only you will be able to access it moving forward. Now, this scam is quite severe and it
Wow.
can cause a lot of misfortune and you may lose up all your money. So be safe and be vigilant about such scams. I am Shaurya Sharma reporting into these
I
social.
appreciate him. News 18 click. Y'all know I got a good VPN. So that was a good breakdown because the way the news broke it down, it didn't make sense. But this is it does now. They're using technology to be able to switch over your SIM number to a blank SIM card, and they're getting basic information. So one of the things that I was thinking of is make sure that you don't use your basic information. I know we have a lot of short-term memory issues, guys, but we do have things that we like, such as catchphrases, favorite movies that you saw as a child, favorite teacher's name. You know, some of these things are a little bit more complicated, but they're easy to remember. You know, like when they ask me, what's your first dog name? And they always come to me, your first pet's name, you know. And I usually just choose the favorite, the last one or the favorite one I have, you know. So whatever, you know, you just choose what works for you. So that is a great breakdown because I did not know that we were having SIM card switch issues. If y'all knew, or if you didn't know, hit the like button if you learned something new. Obviously, there's a lot of new scams going on, and I'm going to find out about what SIM lock. If you know what a SIM card lock is, put it at the bottom of the video for everybody who's watching so we can learn about that because I'm going to check that out myself. Okay. Now we're going to move on into our next market watch. We have another scam going on here. And this one has to do with Cash App. Now, we talked about Cash App scams before where we got a deep breakdown of Cash App scam. The lady was telling on herself, and she was talking about basically having people forward money to you, and they kind of like gambling. Like if you send me 500, you're going to get 1,000 back. And, you know, we broke that down. But let's see what this actual scam entails. I don't know how people fall for Cash App scams these days, you know, but let's get to it.
First told you about Erica Norris in January.
A former leasing office worker at a Hickory Hill apartment complex is facing charges tonight after police say she scammed some tenants out of their rent money.
Nakima Cook says Norris scammed her too, not out of rent money, but a tax refund back in 2018.
Girl, I still want my money.
And Cook says Norris is no stranger. She's almost like family and even lived with her for a while. She says at the time, Norris was working for a tax company and told her she could get a tax loan to help her get a car.
She said, well, just come to the office tomorrow and go ahead and file your taxes. And then that way you could try to qualify for the tax loan so that you could try to get you some transportation.
Cook says she got the tax loan, but when it got to her, it wasn't the full $7,500 she was promised. And instead of being deposited in her bank account, she says Erica Norris brought her a gift card.
So I'm like, okay, Erica, if my taxes was $7,500, then I'm only have $3,500 on there. So she said, well, she said, I got it in my email. She said they was doing an amendment. Again, I don't know anything about how it goes doing taxes and stuff, whatever, but I know I never had heard of that.
Cook says the other $3,500 never came, and soon Norris disappeared.
When I got home, Erica had started moving her things out. I didn't see her for a few days. I was calling her, no answer. So I started getting in touch with the IRS myself to see what was going on. Come to find out, they had gave me the date on when the taxes had dropped, and it was the full $7,500 that had dropped, but she had got it set to her own account. So she went and put half on a Green Dot card, which was the card that she gave me.
Cook went to police, but says she was told to go back to the IRS. The IRS said she couldn't get her money back until police finished their investigation and gave her the paperwork.
The police department just pretty much just shoved me out the way, and they kept saying, well, we'll get in contact with you. It's been 5 years. I still have not heard anything.
Cook says she was shocked when she went to Facebook and saw tons of complaints about Erica Norris and tenants' rent payments.
Other people was making comments saying, I can't believe Erica did this to me. I can't believe she did this to me or whatever. She was just going around taking taxes.
Tanya Clay says she was a victim too after she sent Norris hundreds of dollars as a down payment for an apartment at Lakes on Ridgeway last spring.
I sent her $400 on Cash App. Then I sent her a $40 fee. Then I think my daughter ended up sending her like $250. So rightfully in all, I think she got me for like $1,000, $1,200 and something. What she got me for.
Clay admits she would have never used Cash App for making a down payment,
Oh,
but she trusted Erica Norris since she had known her from grade school, and Norris had also done her taxes.
I didn't know she was out here scamming and taking people money, people close to her and things like that.
The new manager at Lake of Ridgeway says she didn't know Erica Norris, but did hear about the people sending her rent money, thinking she worked at the complex. The managers at a Cordova apartment complex heard the same and remember getting calls about Erica, who they say didn't work there.
People were like checking in on my application. They would give us their name. And we're like, we don't have you in the system. They're like, well, I paid my deposit through Cash App, through your regional. And I think it was her, but it was like 5 people within 1 week that were calling.
I felt like if Memphis Police Department had acted on it when I came to them, then nobody else would have been in that situation.
We found several documents where investigators say they have multiple reports about Erica Norris scamming people by having them send rental money to her Cash App.
We asked police about the latest charges on Erica Norris. They directed us to the district attorney's office, where they said they are pursuing charges. Erica Norris will be in court March 7th on theft of property charges. Those who say they fell for her alleged scams are hoping for justice.
All right, I want to stop right there because they made this like a Cash App scam, and this was not a Pacific Cash App scam. What I will say is that this is a scam on a personal level, and that's something that we need to be aware of too, because we have people around us that are in desperate situations and really don't care, and they will use anyone as a victim. I'm going to give you an example about a situation that happened before I give you my commentary. So Miss Erica and the people around her fell for Miss Erica tactics. It seemed like to me she was going around acting like she worked for these particular companies. And I don't understand how these people were unwise enough to not call the numbers or a website that is on the public domain that actually match the Google search, the map. These type of simple searches will help you verify. So she seemed like she just provided them with some secondary information, and they end up getting scammed by someone they know. So you can get scammed by anyone. We showed you possibly the big guys. I'm just saying allegedly because we can't prove it, but we know this happens all the time. Let me give you an example. We have a lot of banking scams, and these banking scams, they're still doing it in Atlanta. It's called cracking banks, okay, cracking ATMs. And what they will do is they will forward someone a fraudulent check, not make them, but convince them to deposit this fraudulent check, and then they will go from bank to bank and just take out the money. Now, some people do this under the guise of being desperate, really desperate, thinking that they can be like secondary and say, hey, I had nothing to do with this if they didn't receive any money. Now, I want you guys to be aware of that these things happen, and you will be sought after if they do a real investigation. But I'm going to be honest, in the city, in Atlanta, out here, there's a lot of scams going on, and I really do not think that they're doing comprehensive investigations. And this is the reason why we're talking about this, because if we don't have enough police, we don't have enough investigators, who is going to protect us but us? And that means to be prepared, be aware of these scams. So even if you have a family member that comes to you and say, hey, I got this thing, I can get you some money, or hey, I can get you your money fast on your taxes. Do this. Please speak to a specialist. Deal with someone who is credible. You don't need a third party to get anything faster. At the end of the day, It's going to come if it's yours, and never accept anything on a gift card. Now, if they was probably a little confused because what ended up happening, since they make everything so automated, there's even some instance where businesses pay you on cards. So young people around her age who probably have worked at places like Chili's, these restaurants, Applebee's, and things like that, they pay their waitresses and they pay their staff on cards. They even offered to pay me on a card at a few of my contracts. You see what I'm saying? So I can understand a little bit about being confused, but what that goes to say, the ball was majorly dropped by the police. And what ended up happening with Miss Erica Normans, what's her name? Normans, she got emboldened. And that's what happened when bad behaviors are not checked. So I'm not Miss Johnny on the spot. Sometimes I am, but I'm not Miss Righteous. Everything's perfect. But I do believe that we need to be honorable. And if we don't have check and balance systems, we're going to have a really, really lawless place where we all going to suffer. Even if you think it doesn't apply to you right now, it may apply to you in the future. Okay, so let's just keep this in mind. You have to think family too don't always have your best interests in mind, and some things is just stupid. You know what I'm saying? Just some of this was just ridiculous. I don't even know how she posed. Now, I want to move on a little bit out of scams. Okay, I just wanted to show you a few new things, reiterate that you need to be vigilant about these particular scams. I have another one that I'm going to show you is about housing scams. But before we get into that, housing scams, that's the one we're going to get into right now, I think. Hold on. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's a little mixed up. Thank you. I'm glad I jumped onto that. Let's get into Detroit nonprofit workers charged with stealing homes. Now, this happened 2 weeks ago, and this hit, I think, national news, but it definitely hit a lot of people algorithm. So we're going to get into this because we have scams everywhere. And this is the housing authority. Again, this is happening in organizations that you would think that are credible. So you have to be hyper vigilant. Okay, you have to ask questions, write it down, take a picture. Let's listen to how this Detroit nonprofit worker charged with stealing homes. What did she do?
A Detroit woman who works at a nonprofit that helps people stay in their homes is facing a string of federal charges.
Prosecutors say instead of keeping people in their homes, Zena Thomas worked to steal them right out from under the owners. Megan Woods shows us how this alleged scheme worked with the help of one of the victims in the case.
We're here on 2nd Avenue where the United Community Housing Coalition office is. Now, this nonprofit helps Detroiters with low income get housing assistance. It's also where Zena Thomas was the director of home ownership programs.
It's saddened to see these individuals in a position of trust taking advantage of the very ones that they're hired to help.
Wayne County Register of Deeds Bernie Youngblood says they first noticed something was off when they received several complaints into their mortgage and deed fraud unit.
Number of people that we started investigating were coming out of the same location. We started recognizing the different notaries who happened to be working for the same facility.
By November of last year, the unit was meeting with Detroit Police, FBI, and the Department of Justice. Investigators discovered that Thomas and others would allegedly file multiple fraud quitclaim deeds, transferring the owners of these target properties from victims to non-existent interim owners, then sell them to someone else. Wow. The wire transfers would go to her realty company, then allegedly she would transfer it to her personal account. Bernie Youngblood says on Wayne County Register of Deeds website, there's a way to stay on top of what's happening with your property.
Anytime a transaction comes through our office in your name, your property address, you'll be able to get a notification from us that a transaction is being processed because you were at the closing. You do nothing. If it is a problem, they say, wait, that's not my signature. Then you call our fraud team.
Even though Zena Thomas is charged, this is still an open investigation. So if you had any interaction with her or are concerned that you may be a victim, we'll put those resources on clickondetroit.com. In Detroit, I'm Megan Woods, Local 4.
All right, Megan, according to the FBI in 2021, real estate fraud cost Americans $350 million in damages.
Okay, this is not typical fraud. Now we went from family back into like government officials, big businesses. This is the Housing Commission director. Okay, literally people who are coming to get help for their homes. I guess she figured that these people were in desperate situations. She probably picked people who she thought who wasn't educated, wouldn't pay attention to these type of things, and transferred the home via a quick claim deed. Now, if you're part of the buyback team, primetime home buyers, we went into different type of deeds. Quick claim deed is the worst deed you can ever get or deal with. That is an unsecured deed. It's not guaranteed that the person who on a deed own it. Is not guaranteed that the house is clear of liens or any encumbrance. Okay, and the sad part is that even if the transaction go through and there's some fraud to be proven, the recorder's office and everybody who allowed this to process through, it has been consecutively noted by us, and I know everybody else by now, that they're not getting retribution for this. And what's ended up happening is that the person have to go through the process of reversing this paperwork, which cost them some money. Okay, so this fraudster made a lot of money, and it's so ridiculous because she is the housing commissioner. I don't know how she thought that she would not get linked to this. Literally, it's a business in her name, and it's connected to the homes that's connected to her office, that people are coming in to ask for help. Now, it can't get no dumber than that. I'm just going to be honest. You see, scams are not, they probably make a little bit of money, but a lot of scams are just stupid if you think about it. So this was something that the general public couldn't really avoid. You see what I'm saying? And it's so sad. But if this was to happen, this is something that you want to know how to get yourself out of. You want to know what these type of things are, like a quick claim deed, a warranty deed. This is why we talk about it on Primetime Home Buyers and educate you, the average person, the things that you don't know. So when you hear someone coming to talk to you like, yeah, I'm gonna sell you this property, I'm gonna give you a quick claim deed, this, that, and the third, you're gonna stop and say, hey, no. Lashley said, don't do a quick claim deed. Okay, quick claim deeds is dangerous. Okay, just remember that. Okay, a lot of these scams are connected to quick claim deed. So this was connected to a commissioner. That's just it's trifling. I'm gonna be honest. Thank you for being with us today on a Monday, where we try to switch it up today on our Market Watch with Lashley. Let's go on into our next topic. Major scandal at New York public houses. 70 arrested in corruption, bribery scams. What do they got in New York? Knowing that we have a housing crisis and migration issue. So on top of the homelessness housing crisis, we have a whole bunch of new people coming into the United States. How amazing is this situation? And I'm being sarcastic. How amazing is this? Let's play this. Let's see what's going on in New York.
Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm Adam Cooperstein, and we begin with breaking news and what could be the largest public corruption bust in U.S. history. About 70 people, both former and current employees for the city's public housing agency, NYCHA, accused of bribery and extortion, allegedly accepting cash payments in exchange for lucrative deals. News Force Chief Investigative Reporter Jonathan Dean's live in the newsroom as a press conference is about to start on this scheme right now, Jonathan.
Yeah, Adam, 70 city housing workers and contractors charged by the feds this morning. The alleged corruption includes bribe and kickback schemes on everything ranging from construction to maintenance of city housing projects. City Department of Investigation detectives and Homeland Security investigation agents were out making arrests all over the city this morning. This video is of housing workers getting arrested at the Baisley Park houses in Queens. The Housing Authority issuing a statement calling the corruption counter to everything NYCHA stands for. The dozens of suspects are expected to appear in federal court in Manhattan later today. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams and other federal officials expected to detail the charges soon in a news conference with local and federal agencies. The number of people involved in these alleged schemes large. Dozens of workers accused of ripping off the largest public housing system in the nation, home to more than 300,000 New Yorkers. The arrests ongoing at this hour, so many that U.S. Marshals were told will have to transport the suspects by the busload just to get them to court to face the corruption-related charges.
Yeah, that's definitely racketeering charges. You see racketeering charges going around the United States. Now it's possibly hitting New York. This right here sounds remarkably familiar to me. I don't know if you ever heard of this story about a mayor called Mayor Sharp James. If you didn't, I want to tell you a little bit about him. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and there was a mayor called Mayor Sharp James who actually sold out Newark to his friends and investors. What he would do was give them a heads up about the tax lien rolls and tax lien sales. That's when I didn't know about tax lien sales, but I figured out the scam. So he was giving them a heads up about that, making them make early bids, big packaging bids on prominent properties in Newark, New Jersey, and pretty much sold the whole Newark out. So I'm going to pull up something that I can find about Mayor Sharp James' conviction. Yeah, because he did get evicted. Let me see. Because there's a video. Sharp James. Newark Mayor X James is convicted of fraud, and this was in 2008. So it's so crazy because that happened in New York and this happened in Newark, New Jersey. But instead of it just being the housing commission, literally it was the whole city of Newark being sold out. Never think that the people that you put in position will totally live up to their expectations. Okay, guys. Newark ex-mayor Sharp James is convicted of fraud. This is April 2028. Oh, wow. Look, almost to the month. Okay, so a fraud jury today convicted former Newark Mayor Sharp James of fraud for conspiracy to rig and sell of 9 city lots to his mistress, who quickly resold them for hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit. This is just one, because he sold a lot of properties, okay? After a high-profile trial that stretched for 5 years, the jury read 5 years, and you know what? I think he was still in office all this time. The jury returned his verdict in the courtroom. We couldn't get Sharp James out of there. He was crooked. You know who he remind me of? Actually, it's so crazy. The mayor from Dalton, Miss Tiffany Hinyard. Okay, just corrupt. So after a high-profile case that stretched over 5 weeks, the jury returned its verdict in the courtroom, just a block from the city hall office of James, who he personified for 2 decades. I told you we couldn't get him out. He was in there for 2 decades. The jurors, less than an hour into the 6th day of deliberation, found 72-year-old former mayor guilty of all 5 counts he faced. James co-defendant and former girlfriend Tamika Riley was also found guilty of those 5 counts, and 8 others included tax evasion. Okay, so I'm sharing these stories for you because now that gave me deja vu, and it's happening. It's coming back around where these scams are happening on a higher level. It's not just your next door neighbor, possibly your family we just showed you, but also we have our government official, and it's not allegedly playing a part in some of these scams and actually selling the land. Now, you know, we love our land and investing in land. That is one of the things that I always push you guys to, because that's an asset that even if it plummet like in the 2008 housing market, God land and the value of it will always supersede every tangible item on earth, because we all need to live. And while these people control it, the housing market, because we can't get it for free, we have to keep our dibs on it, and they know that. And I say all of that to say that's why it's been a housing snatch 2 times around now. 2008, a lot of people lost homes, and again now in 2022 into 2024. Okay, what I came across the other day, about 40% of the market sales in 2023 went to private investors. How about that? They also went on to talk about how refinancing has been the new ATM for Americans because they're trying to figure out how to get out of debt in these high interest credit cards. Okay, interest rates is up to 26% and it's variable. Okay, we're going to talk about how to rob Peter to pay Paul towards the end of this broadcast. We're going to give you some suggestions, and we're also going to do some uploads, some flashback uploads, because about 4 years ago, no, yeah, just before the COVID, I was really thinking about, just pushing my business a lot, just falling backwards from nursing. And also, I started seeing the market change and what was going on. So I kept talking about people getting prepared mentally, financially, drawing back, what to save on, certain things that you just want to give up, like going out to buy coffee every day. Um, um, lowering the times that you go to the store, being more picky about what stores you go to. So that mindset, I talked about a couple of years ago. So we're going to do a flashback because even when I show this information, it's not to make you devastated. It's for you to get prepared. It's for you to have tools. You have to be aware of what's going on, the new scams, the new trends, and us being the middle class, that quickly wiping away. We need to figure out how to gain leverage. Okay. So let's get into this. Retired teacher tells ABC 13 she unknowingly signed her house away. That's why we get into contracts, guys. That's why I say read it before you sign it. And if you don't know how to read it, you don't understand it, don't sign it or don't eat it. How about that? Yep, too. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Let's get to it. That's the nurse's side. Y'all know I ain't got no behavior.
Only on 13, a retired Houston teacher was kicked out of the house she's lived in since 1977, even though she never put her house up for sale, and it could have happened to any senior citizen.
Wow.
ABC 13's Maya Shea tracked down the people and the paperwork in what turned out to be a winding series of questionable real estate transactions. In the end, it left a retired teacher without a home.
Wanda Jackson never wanted this.
Pissed off. I'm going to just say you're pissed off.
Last September, the retired public school teacher was tossed out of her home with little warning and with just the bare necessities, moved to a Spartan apartment a few miles away.
Different, huh?
How did she get here? Wanda says a few years ago, her aging home needed repairs.
The air conditioning and the heating units were out.
A church friend recommended a man by the name of Malcolm Pryor, who promised to fix her house. It was during the COVID-19 pandemic, and Wanda was seriously ill.
I don't remember signing anything with him.
What she doesn't remember, property records can show. On August 12, 2022, Pryor alleged that Wanda didn't pay for all the repairs and filed a mechanics lien on her house through his company, SDP Development. And just 1 month later, Wanda signed the deed of her house over to another company he controlled, South Victory Group.
So you signed your house away to him?
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize it at the time?
At the time, no, because I was going through therapy, trying to get over the COVID, trying to learn how to walk again.
It gets worse. On September 14th, just 2 days after Wanda signed over her house to Pryor, he sold it to James Meyer, a local investor, for $50,000. 5 months later, in February of 2023, Pryor's company buys back the house from Meyer for $262,500. Except this time, he took out a loan from Noble Mortgage, a local financer
Oh my
of real estate
God.
deals, to pay for it. Records show Pryor never made a payment, and within 2 months, in April, Noble foreclosed on the house Wanda Jackson has lived in since 1977.
Wow.
It looks funny. It's unusual and it looks suspicious.
We asked local real estate expert Bill Baldwin to review the property records for Wanda's home. He says in his decades in the business, he's never seen such a fast timeline of signing a house over, multiple sales back and forth, then a foreclosure, kicking a homeowner out of her house.
Where some of these things would have taken typically 18 months to 2 years.
Yep.
It's unprecedented in my career that I know of anyone that's been foreclosed on within 6 to 8 weeks of their ownership.
By the time Wanda found out, it was too late. She didn't have the money nor the understanding to fight the foreclosure process. Now, the home's latest owner clearly making major renovations. The Houston Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit say they see situations exactly like this, especially among the elderly.
And because they know they may be living alone, there's maybe not a family member around, and they'll take advantage of them.
We went looking for Malcolm Pryor at his well-appointed home in Rocheron. Nobody came to the door and nobody answered our calls. We had better luck finding James Meyer, the man who bought Wanda's house from Pryor and sold it back to him.
So I have a question about
With the cameras off, Meyer told us he's just a real estate investor who helped Malcolm Pryor facilitate a deal. He had no idea that Wanda was tossed out of her home. Noble Mortgage's lawyer told us that the deal, in retrospect, raised eyebrows, but they didn't realize it at the time. None of which helps Wanda.
You just don't walk around and go and take people's property just because you can.
He knew it. He knew it. He knew exactly what he was doing. Now, this seems like a very intricate scam, okay? If y'all missed what happened, they were literally able to foreclose on her home in weeks. Now, this is because of competency. And this is the reason why you are part of the Primetime Homebuyers Buyback team. And you also took the contract course that I have, not even a course, seminar, okay? It teaches you how to read contracts. I give you a bonus to help you understand how law looks at contracts. One of the things that she could have fought when it came to the validity of the original contract was her actual competency. Did she have a clear mind? And did she have a full understanding of the actual document? This is why I say, people, we have to read. I know most elderly people cannot read all of those documents, but this is why we have these type of self-help programs, because I feel honestly you need to take the smartest two people in your home, your family, and make sure that they're educated about certain things and able to help represent family members. Let me give you an example. I was talking to my son. I was like, sir, when you make it big, make sure that I read every single contract. He was like, you're going to be my manager? No, what it is that I want to make sure that you are protected. I can't add myself to the contract, but because I have a comprehensive understanding of contracts and certain things within the realm, at least that you'll be in, I'll be able to help you. So this is what you can do as a person in your family. Make sure that you're well-rounded to be able to help the seniors in your family, be able to help your family members who don't read too well, don't write too well. It is what it is. We're in America, we across the world, everybody has different comprehension levels. But the only way that you're going to be able to protect yourself and your family, and also the generational wealth, because that house could have been passed down to someone else, but it was not. So what he did was convince her to sign a contract. She wasn't comprehensively able to understand or possibly read that contract. Then when he went back and told her, I don't know what he told her. What did she sign for her to go back and sign the deed? He must have went and convinced her to say, hey, I'll take this mechanical lien off if you allow me to sell the debt to someone else. I don't know how he convinced her, but that's the only way it would make sense to me. But again, it's a comprehensive level. And I think this is why I stress people to know how to do your due diligence, because you're going to be able to help yourself and help the people around her. It's sad to say that for a small lien for renovations, he put a $50,000 lien on her. Now, I don't think it was $50,000 in renovation. Then flipped the property for over $250,000. That last guy, I believe he knew something was fishy, and he continued on with the sale. Okay? But who is there to prove it? And this is why us, the little guy, the middle class, need to be aware and ask these questions like, hey, what you doing? No, I'm not signing that. Hey, I need 2 weeks to read this. I don't care. I will tell someone I need 7 days to read this contract. They're like, 7 days? Yup. I got stuff to do. And I will read the contract. I will highlight, and then I'll go back and read to make sure I make sense what I thought I read, so I can, counteract. And this is what I've been going through as far as selling property. Okay. And this is what you'll go through as well. Do your due diligence. Let's show you one more story. I think we got one more story of deed theft, and then we're going to get into our economic system. Okay. Now, when I get into that, I don't want you guys to get depressed. Don't get depressed, but we're going to really come up with some ideas to figure it out, because it can be depressing. I'm going to tell you about a conversation I had with the insurance guy today. Let me kind of skip through this video real quick and get it on the screen. But I had this conversation with the insurance guy today, looking for new car insurance because car insurance went up. Sent me a notice and said, hey, your car insurance going up because of the cost of living is going up. So we have to increase our premiums, this, that, and the third. The premium increase is the same amount as the discount they gave me a couple of months ago. How about that to convince me to switch? Now I'm there, and that happened. So I was talking to the guy basically, and the gentleman, he literally just opened up to me, guys. I'm going to be honest. It was like having a conversation with a friend. I was like, listen, I'm really looking for a different insurance. My insurance company went up over $275. And this is my situation. I have this amount of vehicles, this situation. I got my kids. He was like, you know what? I totally understand. He was like, listen, I have a stay-home wife. I have 2 kids. I have 2 jobs, and I could totally understand. And it's like, my insurance went up as well. He was like, so the best thing I can do is just try my best to get you the best quote I can. But if there's other quotes that's better, I'm going to say go for it. And that really touched my heart. And that really told me that people are struggling. It's not just me, you, and other people. I don't care how much you sell and buy right now. Things are tight for people because of inflation. Like, when you see companies that are doing scams, you need to think about it. It's not just us. Okay. So that really touched my heart. I want you guys to understand that you're not the only one in these situations. I think there's a good amount of, like, I'm going to be, just try to be fair. 60% of the middle class is really, really tight for cash. I really do think so. And the other ones is borderline just making it. So let's move forward. This one is stolen home. Gwinnett police warrant against deed theft. So we're going to give you another example of these deed theft. Let's see how they did this one.
In Gwinnett, a new warning from police about people trying to steal your home. It's a crime that doesn't seem possible, but it is, and it is called deed theft. So here's how it works. Thieves will pick your house, assume your identity with fake identification, forge your signatures on official paperwork, and then they file a deed. After that, they now own your home. Authorities say this type of fraud is most common with rental properties or properties without actual homes on them. And you can protect yourself by having a title search performed on your property, or by getting a title insurance policy when making a purchase. In Gwinnett County, the Superior Court Clerk's Office also offers FANS. It's a notification system that you can sign up for. It will let you know whenever a deed, mortgage, or lien is filed. 11 Live's investigative team is digging into deed theft for you and has more on how you can prevent yourself from falling victim. To find our full coverage and to read more about protecting your property, just search the words deed theft online right now at 11alive.com.
All right, they gave a good suggestion, title insurance, because what ended up happening if someone does that to you, the title insurance company will be responsible to help correct that information. Okay. Also, the title insurance company, it's supposed to be notified if any changes or anything happen with your title. Okay, as far as the title, within the title insurance time frame. So that's another protective mechanism that I did not think about, as well as your local tax office, your tax assessor's office. like, hey, do you have any alert services such as what Gwinnett County talked about? And that's Gwinnett County in Georgia. Okay. This is scam city out here. So those were some suggestions of what you can do to try to protect yourself and make it a little easier. Get yourself on a notification list. Okay. Now let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about the economy. Now, bankrupt Ruby Tuesdays. I came across this the other, actually about a month ago, but I wasn't able to share it with you guys the last time. So let's get to it. Ruby Tuesday files for bankruptcy. Let's pull it on the screen. Now we know we see companies go in and out of these situations, but we need to pay attention. We had a lot of allegedly Walmart's closing and these type of things. And I know they were preparing for more online based shopping, but when it comes to food and eatery, a lot of the food and eatery was still functionable via online DoorDash. You know, people still order. People still need these type of services. So we need to start paying attention to what is closing and why they're closing. So let's see why Ruby Tuesdays is closing, okay? Because I think before we had shared Target was shutting down a lot of its stores, but they were shutting down their stores because of the crime, okay? The crime in particular cities, and they were doing a strategic move, closing particular shops in certain cities that kept having a high rate of boosters, people who were stealing. Okay, so that is directly connected to what we have going on. We have our defunding that went on with our police, and we have a lot of the population shift right now. And I think that plays a role in why our police can't protect us and why we're suffering as well. The poverty is making people our young people act like they can't get jobs, don't want to get jobs. You know why too? Because they into instant gratification. I'm gonna have to bring that back up again. We're gonna have to train our youth a little bit different, because these are the people that's coming into this harsh situation. And if they're not trained with these tools that we're talking about here, you know, just understanding how to budget, I'm understanding where money comes from, that it don't grow on trees, that you got to put a little bit of hard work. It's not okay to scam people, how people suffer when their homes are being taken from them. Learn these skills to protect yourself. You're going to have to take these skills and put it into your youth, into your children, slowly but surely. I know they seem very rebellious, but while we're having these conversations, I want you to have these conversations with your children. Okay. So let's just get back to the subject matter. I know I kind of went on the tangent, but it's paying attention to the market. And if we're paying attention to the market, we have to be educating our next generation. Okay.
Company started right here in Knoxville, then expanded across the country, filed for bankruptcy today. We are talking about Ruby Tuesday, but this doesn't mean they will be closing any locations right now anyway. Reporter Blake Stevens joins us here in the studio. Blake, you're looking at what this means for the restaurant chain tonight.
That's right, Summer. This means the chain's outstanding debts will be put on hold. Some of them will even be reduced. This also allows the company to stay open, pay operating costs, and continue serving customers at hundreds of locations across the country. Now, as you mentioned, the chain started in Knoxville. That was in 1972. Its first location was right here off Cumberland Avenue. Now, Ruby Tuesday's CEO says bankruptcy will help them with long-term stability as they continue to recover from the impact of COVID-19. Now, a chef at UT who trains culinary professionals says this isn't a Ruby Tuesday problem. He says COVID-19 impacted everyone in the restaurant industry.
I can smell
I
that
would get
food.
anywhere between 30 and 50 requests for culinarians. When April hit of 2020, I mean, there was hardly any. But June, when everybody knew the rules with masks and washing your hands and to-go orders, it would get up about 10 to 15 a month. And right now, we're probably at an average of 20.
I also spoke to a bankruptcy attorney. He tells me this is not unusual right now, as restaurants and retail chains across the country are choosing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. He also expects hotel and airlines to follow.
All right. So I wanted to share that with you because what I share with you, like I said, after this is going to be a little heart-wrenching, and it makes you think like what type of situation I'm in. You're in the same situation a lot of these big businesses are in. They're filing bankruptcy and they're doing financial maneuvers to try to survive, or you try to survive to ride this situation out, and just reallocate funds. And that's something that we may have to do, you may have to do in your particular home. As I mentioned earlier, this is they said this is the highest rate in the last 15 years where people are pulling out of their equity, literally like an ATM, to pay off like higher interest debt. And it's so sad that you're going to get more debt with a different interest rate just to pay off this high debt. Yes, even unsecured loans, depending on your credit rate, you may be able to get an unsecured loan for, let's say if you have debt for about $30,000 and the interest rate is 26% on your credit card, and you're making so much payments. Okay, as far as that, you're going to know if you got $38,000, $40,000 in debt, split up in between 5 credit cards or whatever, you're going to at least be paying $250 on each credit card. Let's say 5, 4, or $175. Imagine having to pay all of that separately. So what people are doing is consolidating. It's not just Ruby Tuesdays. So they'll go get an unsecured loan, or maybe get that loan secured with one of their cars. That's what's going on. And they choose to make that one payment with a little lower interest. Now, that is a maneuver. It's a good maneuver, but that's only a good maneuver if you actually use that unsecured money to pay off the debt, which will give you another chance to have lower interest rate, as well as if you're able to pay the debt. That's just a hold off. What Ruby Tuesday is doing and what I just explained to you is literally just a hold off. You have to have a plan to have some type of income coming in. And that's why we're going to share some of those suggestions that I gave a while ago about cohabitation. It may not be easy. About talking to your children, especially if you have college age children like me. I got 2, and I had to realize that, saying, oh, you got to get out when you're 18 if you want to act up. That's not even an option. Not even an option. The thing is that you're going to have to, we have to pull together because that was another thing that I just heard. Children, even kids, because back in the day, we could, after 18, we could have got out and got a place. Y'all know that. If you're an 80s baby, 85, things like that, when you got into high school, you could chose to get your own apartment, make a down payment, and go to college. That's not an option now. Inflation is so high that our kids can't even put a down payment on or even be considered. I was talking to a coworker, and she just had her son graduate as an engineer about 3 years ago, and he's literally just now being able to save up to get a home, get his credit situation together, because they're starting out with nothing. So the requirements are higher. It's harder to get, build up your credits because everything is so expensive. Before it was a little bit easier for us. Get a little $500 credit card. We'll go buy $5 shirts, $10 shirts, build it up, pay $25 down. And that's how I started my credit, my credit. I got a Gap card for my kids. So specifically what I did, so I won't overspend. I will shop for Christmas holidays for them on there, or when they needed their clothes. I had Gap, Old Navy, the ones for them, and then I will pay it off. That was ways that we can actually build our credit. But that's not even a good idea if you're not able to pay that off, because everything is inflated and you have all of these other things going on, like car insurance, as I just told you. You even have the car insurance people complaining, basically saying, well, inflation, so we're going to have to increase your policy $250. Excuse me. I know the cost of living and inflation went up, but did they say the pay rate went up? Not one time, not 1 cent, not 1%. And the guy was like, well, I know. And I had another heart-to-heart conversation where he was like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm like, well, I'm looking for a new insurance company. And that's the next thing I suggest. Weigh your options. Never think that you're stuck. It may cause you to do some work. I was on the phone for 4 hours looking for an insurance company, still weighing my options, but I have to. You have to. Because if you don't do this, they're going to stick it to you. Okay. So this was something that went viral on TikTok. A woman has broke down in tears as she admit not having enough money despite working 3 jobs. I know nurses. I know people who are doctors who are in this same situation. So I want to share this with you because this is her testimony, and I think this are many people's testimony. Okay, so you're not by yourself. We're coming up with a plan. Okay. Says not only is Jordan struggling to make the ends meet, but she also admitted that she's drowning in debt and has reached the breaking point. Girl, understand. Okay. Opening up about her financial situation on social media, the 29-year-old from Arizona claimed that her 3 sets of wages still aren't enough to cover her living wages. Breaking down in the now viral video that she does anyone else feel like this? Absolutely. In drowning financially, as the 29-year-old woman explains. She then admit, I have 3 jobs and I'm struggling. Okay. Yes, I'm saying that with emphasis. Okay. I just got myself further and further into credit card debt because I don't have enough after the first of the month to avoid using it. It just isn't working. The influencer then claims that she been working since 15, and despite not going into details about her profession, she reveals that she now makes 6 figures. Okay, she makes 6 figures. She continued, I have seriously considered quitting all my full-time. How the hell you got full-time jobs? 3 full-time job to go back to service because at least I can use my personality and try to get more minimum wage money. That is so sad. But with the entry-level job paid people nowadays, that'll be sick. And I told you, it's hard for me to understand how waitresses get money, but it depends on the location because a lot of them, if it's a good location, you get good money, but they don't even get minimum wage. She then admits that her whole credit card score used to be good and she had no choice but to rely on it. And she says, my credit use is phenomenal. Okay. Not no more. Credit card bills, paid it all off every single time. I'm the same way. But when it just stack up, you don't know what to do. Okay, because the income has to come in. And that's why we want to learn different ways to actually build residual income, or not fast residual income that's going to bring us generational wealth. Okay, we want to get into that a little bit. So she finished the video by saying, just want to know if anyone else is like this, like me right now. And I wanted to share that with you because I think it's many people that's like her right now. Okay. Even myself, I'm going to be honest, in these last 2-3 years of what went on, I find myself having to liquidate. Yes, because shit is tight. Life change. The cost of living is increasing. I got 2 kids in college. Been a single mother forever. Things were happening. Same thing with you. Even if you have these side businesses, there's so much things in life that come up. You have deaths in the family. Many people suffer from death in the family. They were burying people back to back. So these were some of the financial hardships. Okay. So this was another Instagram. This was an Instagram post that from one of my favorite lawyers. I like this guy. It's Lawyer for Workers. He's always keeping his topics diverse and he's very transparent. I'm surprised they didn't censor him yet, but he's doing excellent. Okay. So he shared this and I found it interesting because this is what's going on. And it's not just me and it's not just you. Things are changing.
My argument, politicians in America pretend like they're fighting with each other, but really the point is to have nothing happen so that things stay the same. And this is how things are going. They're going really well for people with a lot of money, and they're going really poorly for people who are trying to break in with low wage income. What do I mean by that? Let's say you go try to buy a house right now. You're competing with private investors, not people who are actually buying a house to live in themselves. But more importantly, you're dealing with crazy high interest rates.
Yep.
How How? In the city and the state of New York, if you're making close to minimum wage, if you're making less than $100,000 a year, how do you compete in that type of market for a home? The answer is you don't. You don't. The promise of home ownership to so many people is fleeting. Is there anybody actually talking about that? No, because they want to talk about wars and abortion rights and this, that, and the third thing, which is all bullshit and smoke and mirrors and stuff and noise to get you away from the hard decisions, which is how do you solve this problem in America?
And you know how? By
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.
All right. So we're going to get back into it. I wanted to show you, you got an option. They say that they tried to lock us out the market, but not today. This is why we do Primetime Home Buyers, Tax Lien and Tax Deed Investment course, because we want to figure out how to enter the market through the back door without having to deal with the home loan and these crooked bankers. Now, let's get into this as we talk about minimum wage and the reason why we have to have supplemental income. Now, we know they passed the federal minimum wage law, right? Thought it was about right. But we see it seems to not been able to trickle down to the little man as of yet. You remember it supposed to have been some type of term of years that they were going to spread it out for certain states. And what's going on? So Georgia has the highest living wage gap in the country. I'm out here in Georgia, so we're going to talk about it. Okay, many Peach State residents know too well working for minimum wage in Georgia is not enough to pay the housing, utility, groceries, or gas. Here is why this may be the numbers. The living wages gap in the amount between what someone actually makes and how much it takes to live comfortably. In Georgia, the hourly minimum wage is $5.15 mandated by the law. I'm asleep. I'm knocked out. What are you going to do with $5 an hour? Didn't I tell you the pay rate didn't go up? According to the data from Statistica, the living wages gap came to $10.47, which is the highest wage gap in United States. Okay. Now I know they've been paying more people around the $10.47 out here. I'm going to give it to Georgia. But that's not enough. Okay. We need to get to the $15. And guess what? $15 will be still barely making it for the average person. Okay. That won't even be enough compared to what they need. A person who wants to get a home right now or even rent, they have to have a substantial amount of income. It at least have to be over $60,000. And I'm going to say with a home, you're going to have to look into $75,000 or more, depending on how much the home is. Okay. And when we talk about apartments, yes, you need to have a significant amount of income, at least $65,000 a year. Many people are living below that. Okay. The tax didn't come out like the taxes, the statistics for the taxes, but I'm going to go over that to see what was the fair amount of income for us for 2023. If you were making minimum wage in Georgia, according to the federal minimum, $7.25, adjusted for inflation. And finally, the living wages gap workers should make it $17.72 an hour minimum to live comfortably. I told you $15 is not enough. Just looking at it, I didn't even do the numbers. I know $15 can't get you nothing out here in Georgia. They at least need to make $17.20. So if you make $20 an hour, you'll probably be able to make it out here to get your own little apartment, okay, and just live a little comfortably. And I'm talking about comfortably don't mean lavish. I mean just comfortably, just making it. And that don't include insurance, health insurance, car insurance. We ain't talking about that. The living wages gap calculated by factors in living wages, average household prices, childcare, and healthcare costs. They added that in there. Wow. This gap has continued to open, and employment wages were not adjusted as high inflation rates in 2022 and 2003 took place. Then I just told you, I talked to the person on the phone. I said, you're going to say that you're going to increase my insurance, but my living wages didn't go up. You a multi-million-dollar company. See, I saw the writing on the wall when I got that notice, okay? We are all filling the gap, but for women, the gap is wider. With Georgia women losing a combination of $14 billion a year and having less money to support their family and invest for the future. Okay, so we already know that there's a living gap. I'm not going to make this about gender because I think we all can get some hustles going on. But what I will say is that Houston, we have a problem, especially in Georgia. And I also been looking around into other areas to see what areas that I can invest in as far as you want to buy low and sell high. So you're looking at particular areas that are investable. And the investable areas are pretty much rural. Like you have to do a lot of building, a lot of these small towns don't have sewage, don't have plumbing, so it costs a lot. These are the places where you're finding. They said that Ohio had a better cost of living, but it doesn't mean that the pay rate was good. They said Mississippi as well, but they're not talking about the crime or nothing like that. But I'm just talking about the cost of living right now with inflation. Georgia fell into that about number 7 as far as being a good place to live. Florida didn't make it. Texas made it. But also the cost of living is low, but the wages is definitely low in Texas. I know that. So these are the things that you need to pay attention to before you buy property in these places too, because especially if you're buying to sell, you want to know when can you sell? What is the possibility when you will sell because of the economy? You know, I will buy now in a place like Texas, possibly, where it's low, but you'll have to hold it until the economy switch. You see what I'm saying? So this is the way you kind of think to play on this type of situation we in as people, okay? Gotta be diverse. There was a lot of people migrating. They're migrating to America. We need to be migrating somewhere else. I'm not playing, but you never know, okay? So the average American home expenses are about $6,081 a month or $72,000 a year. Now, guys, let me tell you this. These articles I literally just pulled up, and the numbers are just coming off the top of my head because I know economy. I know numbers. And I just said that you need at least $75,000 to get an apartment. At $65,000, I was being nice. $65,000, you getting a little shack. Okay. Let's get to this article brought to you by Yahoo News. And this was January, okay? The average American house expenses are $6,081 a month or $72,967 a year. But the median annual household income is just $74,000. I don't believe this number, y'all. I don't believe it. We're going to have to double check that, fact check that. No way. With inflation impacting a budget, many are seeking ways to manage their expenses effectively. The 2022 Consumer Expenditure Survey by the Bureau of Labor Statistics revealed that the average American household monthly expenses total about what I just told you and yearly about what I just told you. The amount includes the cost for housing, transportation, food, and essential categories. For a family of 4, the average monthly expense is about $7,875. Guys, now, ain't nobody working at McDonald's, Ain't nobody working at, even, I don't even say McDonald's. An average secretary is not making $7,000 a month. When I was a secretary and I just got out of high school, I was making $10, and I was able to get an apartment. I was able to get an apartment and get some help too, because they had like temporary rental assistance program that I help you pay your deposit, because I couldn't save enough for a deposit then, but they paid for my deposit. Then I was able to pay the rent. You know, we got to have these programs in line so we can help. And certain states don't have that. I was in Jersey. I don't know if they have that now, but you have to be mindful of the programs that they offer. And that's why you need to be mindful of who you put in office too, and the actual agenda and actually what they can get done in their track record, not all talk. Okay. If you're into policies and understanding how the policies affect your everyday budget. You see what I'm saying? So going into this range indicates that the increased financial responsibility associated with raising family include the cost of children, education, healthcare, and other necessities. Sounds about right. Okay. So this breaks down some of what you can expect with a single individual, married couple, what they're bringing in, and when to consider these figures, it is important to compare them with the average household income. In 2022, the median household income in the United States was $74,000, allegedly, and declined 2.3% to $76,000 in 2021. How? Oh, it declined from 2021 to 2022. Let's see what happened in 2023. Remember, I just said I want to know what the household income. It probably went down to $32,000. If I predict that correctly, y'all got to give me some likes. That is, honestly, that's what it's looking like. That's what it's looking like. So I wanted you guys to get a number, ballpark average of the numbers of what to expect to live comfortably. Now, this is Georgia, but this is about average, because Georgia fell in the actual cost effective. It was number seven. And I'm in Georgia trying to get out, but I'm not trying to go to Ohio or Texas. So I'm like, oh my God. And Virginia. They said West Virginia as well was a good, had a good cost of living. I think it went in like number 3. Okay. So if you're considering buying or selling and looking into different states, those are some of the states that I came across. You can do your Google research and look why, why not. But these are the things to consider when we're trying to migrate around and get a bang for our buck. It's not, I know many of us are so comfortable being in our situation, but change is good. Change is uncomfortable, but it's good. And when the situation around you change, you have to change. That's why people migrated to different states. So you may not want to migrate right now, but you may want to look into other options later on in the future, especially if you're a tax lien and tax deed investor. When you invest via that way, it gives you some time to start to get yourself ready for the move or ready to go to that state, because a tax lien, depending on what state, it takes 6 months to 2 years to advance, or 6 months to a year, like in Georgia. If you was in Jersey and you say, hey, I want to move to Georgia, I'm going to look into some tax liens out there in Georgia, but it takes 1 year for me to possibly foreclose on this property. So I'm going to take trips out to Georgia. I invest in 3 tax liens, 2 of them redeemed. I got my money back and 1 didn't. It's a home one there. I want to see. So you already had a year to prepare, start saving some money, getting yourself acclimated to the area, possibly looking for a job. I'm giving you this suggestion because there are people that are in bad situations and they think that they just have to be stuck. It's called planning. It's actually coming up with a plan and just taking your time and executing. It may not be easy, but you can get it done, because we have to survive this financial crisis. There have to be a middle class. There can't just be an upper rich class and just a poor class. I know you don't want to be part of the poor class. Me and you, we're not doing that. We're going to get some property, okay? So I hope that helped you a little bit of thinking about how to maneuver in such times like this. You can slow roll, okay? We're coming to the end towards the end of our broadcast. I have probably like 2 more things I wanted to show you as far as suggestions, and I did want to I think I'm going to save this because that's a little bit. We're going to get into another suggestion for you, okay? Now, one of the things that I have noticed on the market is small homes. Okay. I have a property in Maryland that I was thinking about selling, and I'm glad I didn't, because when I talked to the realtor, as I told you, one thing that you need to know is not only the price value of the home as far as what the tax assessor says, but you need to know what type of value can be to the land. I do apologize, of what the tax assessor says. You want to know what value could be brought to that land by building. And this is how you can advance how much you sell your property for. For instance, like I said, I thought the land was worth $5,000. I'm selling for $5,000. She's like, heck no, you can build this on there, this permit. I talked to the construction person. I went to the meeting with the county, and they're gonna have plumbing. I'm like, oh, okay, so you better sell that for $9,000. So these are the things you need to be aware of. And because we have a more demand for homes, it's two sides to this suggestion, but I think it's a good idea as far as helping the community and you being able to purchase home. And this is smaller homes. Yes. And the reason why I say smaller homes are a little bit better, because we can use this for multi-purposes. Now, this don't have to be your house. Like, oh, everybody move into a small home thing. But if we have, let's say, a college campus, and you end up getting a nice piece of 1 acre land, and you make a bunch of these 450 square foot tiny homes, these can consider little co-ops for the college students. And this can be something that you can contract with the college. You can give them discounts, and they give you like a stipend. You know what I'm talking about. They give you a contract. I'm very, very, very creative. Okay. This is things like this pop in my head all the time. Also, I'm going to show you a video of a suggestion of what they're doing with these homes as well. So let's take a look at this particular video. And I'm not with the small homes because I want us to give our land up and move into these small homes, but we can do things good with these small homes as far as getting people on.
This is a 450 square foot tiny home that is so cool. Look at this space. You have the modern kitchen on this side with a sink, dishwasher, oven, induction cooktop, and open shelving. On the other side, really nice office area, dining table, wall mount TV, and look at all these track lights. Space is so cool with this really nice seating area. Sliding glass doors open up to the backyard. Queen size bed, stacked washer and dryer with additional cabinetry. And on the other side, we have a full bathroom with a wall mount toilet, bamboo vanity, modern sink, an open walk-in shower with a rain head and deck floors. And on the other side, we have the sliding glass doors open up to an outdoor deck and this amazing backyard. And let me know in the comments below, how much do you think it costs to build one of these?
Okay, so we're going to do a special in regards to these small homes and the range and the different type of small homes that you can buy. It does not have to be this. Now, let's say you get 1 acre of land and you don't want to buy it to sell to other people, but you want to get your kids out your house. Yeah, you can use these small, tiny homes for your college students, for people who transition. As I've mentioned to you, my coworker said that her son graduated as an engineer 3 years prior to him being able to even actually purchase his home. And he was married and he had kids and she had to deal with that. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't recommend having a whole family in a home like this, but this is something good for a starter home, as well as what I'm going to show you what another town has done. I definitely saw that Jersey did something similar to compact their homelessness, and this county as well did. I think this is South Carolina. Okay. And this is something you can do.
We can lift it up and it turns into a table and chairs.
After 20 years of homelessness,
this is my home.
Johnny Vieira is thankful.
Absolutely. More than I've ever had.
She's one of 50 residents living in micro shelters, part of a collaboration between Salt Lake City and the Utah Office of Homeless Services. The temporary community is made up of the units that are about 75 square feet, furnished with heat and a lock, an alternative to homeless shelters.
This allows us to have more one-on-one time and gives them a little bit more privacy.
Carol Hollowell is the CEO of SwitchPoint, the nonprofit that runs the project. She believes the resources people get here set them up for success.
A lot of the homeless population have not had the chance to connect and build a relationship up with a service provider.
That's part of what they do here, but the residents have to agree to security checks and no drugs.
They're good.
Okay, so I am very grassroots. This is the last thing that I'm really sharing with you guys because I share some devastating stuff, and I always like to contrast some of the devastating stuff because it's alarming. You're like, what could I do, to protect myself? So we went over some things you can do to protect yourself, as well as now thinking of other ways to invest creatively based on the new trends that's going on. So if you do have that 1 acre land and say, hey, I don't have no kids, but I'm into things like grassroots movement, building the community up, you will be able to possibly, I always say, contract if you want to contract with the government or doing a nonprofit organization that'll allow you to house a certain group of people. It doesn't have to be homeless people. It can be people, runaways. It can be group home for boys. It can be anything that you want to do with these little homes. You see, as far as housing, co-ops, as I gave you an example, co-ops for colleges. You can be creative, but what I'm saying is that use what you have. How can I say? A lot of bad things that they have set up for us to say, like, oh, they want to put us in little homes. They're trying to take up all the land. We can think wisely and be creative and do the same thing, but don't let go of our resources. It's by taking your time. So we're going to follow up this live, probably like next week. And we're going to do a special on tiny homes, the different type of tiny homes, because I was just in Statesboro, Georgia, and they have it was like this strip up there by the college. It's a strip of a bunch of businesses that sell these portable homes. And they're smaller than that. I mean, I'm sorry, I do apologize. They're a little bit bigger than that, but they're already pre-built. So we're going to show you your different options, just like what they were doing, what a different price range. Also the different materials that people are using to save money as well. Okay. As these companies think smart and budget, we need to think smart and budget. If they're trying to plan to have longevity in the market, the middle class need to plan to have longevity in the market. So I want to say thank you. I've been on for about an hour and a half. I hope that you learned a lot today with Lashley. I want to just give you guys a heads up. I will be hosting a live Zoom meeting on Sunday. And it's not a live Zoom meeting we do every once a month. I host a free webinar about tax liens and tax deeds. Okay. So if you want, the link will be at the bottom. You can sign up here via the website, or you can sign up via Eventbrite. I'll show that in a second. It's our free monthly webinar, and it's going to be this Sunday at 11 o'clock. With this webinar, okay. Wait, yeah. Hold on 1 second. Where did my thing go? Hold on, guys. Okay. Yeah, sorry, guys. I couldn't find the page. With this webinar, yeah. What did I just show y'all? I think I showed y'all another screen. Hold on. I got to the end. Got to the end and got confused. I got so many stuff up. Okay. So here we go. What we got up, baby? There we go. So here is our service page, and this is where you can sign up for our free seminar. What I was trying to say is that I'm going to have an open question and forum, meaning that you will be able to ask me anything. I'm going to do this is usually an hour and a half seminar. I'm going to do only 30 minutes to just basically give y'all a brief review of tax liens and tax deeds. And then I'm going to have it open for whoever wants to actually ask questions, whatever question you want. If I don't have the answer, guess what I'll do? I'll figure it out for you guys, or I will, definitely point you to some resources. So I did want to show you that we also have our educational seminars on a platform called Eventbrite. This platform is an automated service in which we have automated webinars that you can go to every week. I want you to look at our events and our webinars here. I'm going to share the link, but this is another place where you can sign up for our monthly seminar right now. This is a free seminar. So I only have 25 slots available here, but we're going to just open it up and see. Can we look at it? We're going to open it up so you can see the link. So this is this seminar. Basically, it's going to be a powwow, question and answers, whatever you want to ask about tax lien and tax deed, free monthly seminar information session. It starts on Sunday, March 24th at 11 a.m. Okay. Now, I will leave the link at the bottom of this video tonight. And if you're in the Facebook group, you know, I already left this information for you guys. I hope to see y'all on Sunday. And I hope y'all enjoyed today's broadcast with Lashley. We will follow up next week or Friday. Okay, I got one more thing on the bullet to share with you. We have one more part to our tax educational review we were doing. Okay, it's free. I want you guys to understand taxes and businesses, understanding how to get tax deduction. Everybody got to pay taxes right now till we figure out how to be the IRS agent that didn't pay it. We're going to do estate taxes, and we're going to do different instruments you can actually put your money in to defer your taxes. Okay, we want to find a way to rob Peter, don't pay Paul. Rob Peter and put the money in our pocket. How about that? I love you guys, and I'm going to see y'all next week. We're going to go into estate taxes, and then we're going to follow up with a part 2 to hear of tiny houses. What is our options as tax lien investors?
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all? Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time, because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.